It's remarkable. I did prepare the right way. I did for the last 15 months prior to this. I was walking every day. I had a trainer that cross-trained me to make sure that this old body wouldn't fall apart, and she did a good job. And so I'm going to tell you right now that I am feeling unbelievable, and I think it's because I know it's because my brother's spirit, he's carrying me every single day. But it's also meeting great Americans along the way that they love what I'm doing here to make sure I shine a big light on what happened 20 years ago. So it's been incredible. I just want to share just one of many experiences with you. On August 21st, I was in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. In Shanksville, Pennsylvania, I laid a beautiful rose at the 40 columns for each one of those great heroes that I say won the first war in the battle on war on terrorism when they took down that plane and saved American lives on the ground. And we all remember Todd Beamer when he said, "Let's roll." But I had the honor to go to the impact site where there's a beautiful, gigantic boulder there. And I was with 40 New York City firefighters because they've been following me, coming with me, supporting me on this whole walk. And I knelt down to say a prayer, and I put my hand on that boulder, and all 40 firefighters knelt with me, and we said the Lord's Prayer, and we were overcome with emotion just thinking about those 40 Americans that gave their life for our country that day, and thinking about all our first responders that ran into the buildings in New York City, the Twin Towers, and they gave up their life that day, and thinking about those who gave their life at the Pentagon and the 2,977 souls that perished, great Americans that died that day. And I'll never forget that moment the rest of my life.
It sounds very powerful, not just for you, but also for the firefighters who, of course, remember the cost and the loss. So thank you for sharing that with us, Frank. I do look forward to talking about your brother. I want to hear more about Stephen. But the people that are going with you and the experiences, you're making stops along the way. What's it been like to see people come out, either walk with you for a bit or have a barbecue or just come and shake your hand and give you a hug?
It's been remarkable. And it has happened to me thousands of times already. I can't tell you how many cars pull over the side of the road and run over and do it and embrace me and say thank you. And I love it's the greatness of America to see all this. And I pulled up to a bar the other day. It was where I was finished for the day. There were 40 or 50 people outside waiting for me. I don't know how they knew I was going to finish at that point, but they were waiting, and they said, "Come on in. We have some food for you. We have some." And they rolled down the window. Never forget. Honk the horns, track the trailer scared me because there wasn't by me, but they honked the horn and waved to me, and so it's been a beautiful journey. It's been a spiritual journey. And I'm very much looking forward to arriving on September 11th at Ground Zero, where I can pay my respects to 10 Truck, which is right adjacent to the memorial, where the towers, stood 20 years ago, right. And lay a wreath and say a prayer with all my New York City firefighter buddies and police officers.
We're spending a few minutes with Frank Siller. He's the older brother of firefighter Stephen, who perished in the 9/11 attacks because he was going in to try to save people. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence on CBS Sports Radio. Your Tunnel to Towers Foundation. You're the chairman, the CEO. This is something that's really important to you. But I want to make sure people understand what the foundation does so they recognize where the money that you raise is going, Frank.
Well, Amy, thank you for asking that because, so our first mission is to make sure we never forget. That's it. That was our first thing while we started the foundation. We wanted to make sure we didn't forget what my brother did and what so many other heroes did. And then we wanted to honor the sacrifice. And my family feels the best way to honor a sacrifice is by doing good. St. Francis of Assisi said, brothers and sisters, while we have time, let us do good. And we wanted to do good as a foundation. So we pay off the mortgages for fallen first responders who die in the line of duty that leave young families behind. We also build homes for Gold Star families or pay off their mortgages if they have a home already, who give their life for our country and leave young families behind. And we build specially adapted smart homes for our country's most catastrophically injured service members: double, triple, quadruple amputees, quadriplegics, paraplegics, traumatic brain injury where they can't function and they're in a wheelchair. And so we've built over 100 of those homes all over the United States. So we're very proud of that. But in light of what just happened in Afghanistan just this past week, we are making sure that we reach out to those families of those great heroes that just died there, 13 families. And those who have young kids in their families left behind, we're going to make sure that they get a mortgage-free house for their family. So that's what we do. So, when these heroes go, and this is the promise that the Tunnel to Towers Foundation is making, that when somebody goes out and serves their country or their community, and they give their kids a kiss goodbye, and they don't come home, we are going to take care of their families. We're going to deliver them a mortgage-free home. What could be better than that, to make a promise to these great heroes that, God forbid, they give their life to their country or their community, that we're going to take care of their families. And we ask everyone, $11 a month. That is it. $11 a month. And if people do that, we could take care of all these families, not just this year, but every year.
And I did read on your website that by the end of 2021, the foundation will have delivered 450 homes. I can only imagine the joy in some way that your foundation is able to instill in these families, and even the little kids who don't really understand what's going on, but at some point will know that in lieu of their fathers or their moms being with them, that there was someone to look out for them.
I used to be at every single ceremony because, because we used to give out 10 or 15 houses a year. Then we went to 25 houses. Then we went to 40 houses, then 55 houses, then 70 houses. And this year we're giving 200 houses for the 20th anniversary. But we want to give 200 houses every year because there's so many of these great heroes' families that are in need of our kind of help. Look, they just lose their loved one, and now they're worried about whether or not they could stay in their home. What's better than to make sure that the whole family could stay in the home where they were making their dreams together prior to them giving their lives? So it is something that's so tangible that someone makes a donation that they know where their money goes. And last on the donation part is this. Last year, for our tax return, over 95.2% of every dollar went to our programs. 95.2%. It's unheard of in foundations. And I'm so proud to say that myself and my siblings, we never took a penny, we never took a salary, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands of volunteers all over the United States that helps us deliver these great homes and helps us raise this great amount of money that needs to be raised to help these great families.
Tunnel to Towers Foundation, and you can find it easily online. I Googled it without knowing the website, but it's T2T.org, and we're spending a few minutes with Frank Siller, who has a personal connection, of course. He is the chairman, the CEO, and is now on his Never Forget walk around the Northeast to trace this path of 500-plus miles and to stop in parts of America where people are joining him and want to make sure that we as a nation never forget. It's After Hours on CBS Sports Radio. All right, Frank. So a day in the life on this Never Forget walk. I wasn't sure who was going with you, how many people were on the journey with you until I read that there were people cooking for you. So what's a typical day like, Frank, as you're on this journey?
Well, I'm usually up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. I get my body ready. I'm 68 years old, so it takes me a little bit longer than most people. Then we take off. We drive to our location where we last let off, and sometimes it's 10 minutes, or sometimes it's a half an hour, sometimes it's better part of an hour that we have to drive. And I do my first part anywhere from 8 to 9 miles, which takes anywhere about 3 hours for me to walk. So let's say I start walking by 6:30. By 9:30, I meet up with a RV that is manned by at least 4 New York City firefighters that are
Wow.
already at a location. And when I get to this location, they have a chair ready for the old guy, and I sit down. And wait, they have usually. I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you what I had this morning. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I had a French toast bake. So it's probably about 3 or 4 levels of French toast, and they bake it, and they have eggs on the bottom, and it's I can't even tell you how good it is, right? They had bacon for me. They also had an omelet for me, fresh fruit, of course, a smoothie, and the coffee. So this is what I do, and we go there. I rest for about an hour or so. Could be a little bit more, depending if I'm wrapping any toes or whatever it has to be done. And then I go out for the second part of the walk. And, so then I walk for another couple of hours, come back to the hotel that we're staying at. And then by 5 o'clock, the same guys have dinner ready for all of us. And there's usually a group of about 15 of us that are with me every day. And then I run into many firefighters and police officers that escort us as I'm walking. I invite them back for dinner. Many times they join us. I see people along the road. I say, come on back to dinner. So, these firefighters are getting annoyed at me because it's like my wife, when I used to bring people back for dinner at home. She says, you didn't even tell me. Well, I keep on doing that. I keep on doing that on the road here, but they're not annoyed. They're honored to do it. And so, anywhere from 15 to 20 people are eating dinner every night. So we don't have to think what we're eating ever.
Wow.
We never have to think of what we're eating, and it's pretty healthy. The dinners, they really take care of me and everyone else that's traveling with the team. And I have an unbelievable staff that has made sure that this journey has been as easy as could be. But it's been very emotional, thinking of my brother, thinking of how proud he would be of his family right now that we're taking care of these great heroes. I miss him so much. I wish he was here. You never get over something like this. You just learn to live with it. And but to do something like that, like we're doing as a foundation to help all these families, we couldn't be more proud.
Frank, it's been 20 years, which I can't even wrap my brain around. I still remember every minute of that day as though it was yesterday, and I can imagine that there are many moments that are permanently embedded in your spirit and in your brain. When people ask you about your brother, what do you want them to know about Stephen now that it's been 20 years?
He died the way he lived. He was serving others. He did it inside his family. He was always there for us and anything that we ever needed. For his friends, they all thought he was their best friend because that's how he treated everybody. He was a very special individual, as many of these first responders were. They would do anything for anybody. What he did, he gave his life up. He gave up a lot. He was married, had 5 kids. He was my little brother. He was the youngest of 7. When he was born, I was 14 years older than him. My oldest brother was 25 years older than him. And my parents died when he was a little boy, and we raised him. So he's as much a son to us as he was a brother. It was an unbelievable loss for our family, but I know this, that if he was faced with the same decision again tomorrow, he would do the exact same thing. And we're just so proud of him and what he did. So I want people to remember he's a hero, and he made a tremendous sacrifice for our country and for the people that he was saving 20 years ago.
What did he love about being a firefighter?
Everything. Everything. The brotherhood. It was another family for him. Look, he realized very early on in life, by 10 years old, both my parents were gone. So he really learned early on in life that every day was precious, that every day was a gift, and he didn't waste any time. I called him Multiplicity Man because he did so much every single day. So he loved every aspect of being a firefighter, being there, living with them, eating with them, fighting fires, saving people, with them. He just loved every aspect of it. So he was so proud to be a firefighter, and we were proud of him. But we were also very nervous because we knew that he has that personality to never hesitate to run into a building, and that he did. He found a way to get there 20 years ago. How many people would strap 60 pounds of fire gear on his back, run through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which is almost 2 miles long, come out the other side, go up West Street, go into the South Building? We believe he went into the South Tower. We're not sure because he was never recovered, but that's where 11 of the Squad 1 members died that day, along with all 343 firefighters. He would want to fight that fire and with his brothers. So who would do that? Not many people, but he did do it, and we're just so proud of what he did, and because of that one action, think of all the people that we're helping today.
And I can imagine the firefighters that you encounter along your journey, and the ones that you will recommune with there in New York at Ground Zero, that this means a lot to them. And the fight is still not over for first responders. There are so many who are dealing with illnesses, whether respiratory or cancers, that are related to their service at Ground Zero and their time working on the pile. And so the fact that they have someone to do this and to help to tell their story. You're a brother now too, right?
Well, I am an honorary battalion chief, but listen, we made an announcement a few months ago that any firefighter, police officer, first responder that has died of 9/11 illnesses that have young families left behind, we're going to pay off their mortgages. These are the forgotten people, the forgotten first responders that continue to pay a big price. That families see that their loved ones fade away over the course of how many years with these cancers that keep on taking lives of these great heroes. They were on that pile digging for my brother, looking for my brother, and looking for their brothers inside the fire department or police department, and they continue to die to today. So we're so proud that we're going to make sure that we take care of these families that are left behind. And on Veterans Day this year, we are going to read the names of over 7,072 men and women in uniform that served our country, that gave their lives to their country at the Lincoln Memorial. Never been done before. We're going to read those names out loud because people can't forget the price that's been paid ever since 9/11 for our freedom here in America, so we can have a safe America. And so we're proud to take on those responsibilities. So thank you for bringing up the fact that so many keep on dying of 9/11 illnesses.
Yeah, it's something that I learned only a few years ago, that it's actually going to end up taking more lives than did the attacks on that day on 9/11, the number of people who are still dealing with the illnesses. So I try to get the word out. Frank, before I let you go, when you get to day number 42 and you have completed 500 plus miles, you've trekked into now your 6th state, and you are getting to Ground Zero and to the fire company that's there, what emotions do you anticipate as you arrive there on September 11th on the 20th anniversary?
When I think about it, I can't even hold myself together. I'll be proud that of my brother and what he did that day, and I just going to be with my wife, my kids, my grandchildren, my brothers and sisters, their children and grandchildren, and we're going to walk through that tunnel just like my brother Stephen ran through that tunnel 20 years ago. Yes, we'll be doing it with sneakers on. And he did it with his gear on. And when he came out the other side, he saw buildings on fire. And now we see the Freedom Tower when I come out. And we just want to come through the other side as a family and make sure that we help in his honor and honor all those perished. So I will be overwhelmed. We will all be overwhelmed, as most Americans will be, because it's 20 years later that we lost 2,977 great Americans.
It is hard to believe it's been 20 years. T2T.org to read more and to see photos. There's great pictures there of your time as you trek across this portion of the country. So T2T.org, Tunnel to Towers Foundation, culminating on 9/11 at Ground Zero. Frank, it's such an honor to talk to you and to hear about your brother and about your journey. Thank you so much for a few minutes with us today.
Amy, thank you. God bless you. And, of course, God bless America.